Story: Les Reid has left his job as Charlton manager just 41 days after taking over from Ian Dowie. Alan Pardew has already been named tonight as his successor.
Well, the club have released this statement. Les Reid has left his position as Charlton's head coach by mutual consent. Alan Pardew will take charge of the Addicks and has signed a 3.5-year contract. The club is making no further comment at this time, but will be holding a press conference on Boxing Day.
Earlier this evening, my Sky Sports colleague Andy Burton gave us a background to this decision. Andy rejoins us here on Sky Sports News. Andy, once again, can you explain the process of events here?
Well, Jim, Les Reid called his players into the training ground today to have meetings and discuss exactly how they were going to move forward. Unfortunately for Les Reid, meetings were also called with him and board members who sought explanations as to just what was going on, and very amicable but very difficult conversations were held between Les Reid and the men who've employed him, and it was felt really on both sides that this situation couldn't continue. I know that Peter Varney, the chief executive, I know that Richard Murray, the PLC chairman, are both very uncomfortable with the decision that's been taken today, because Les Reid is one of their own. He's a Charlton fan. He said repeatedly in recent weeks that if he wasn't managing the football club, he'd probably be there watching as a fan at the moment. He feels very unhappy that he has left the club, but it is something that he feels is in the best interests of Charlton Athletic, and that's why Les, with the mutual consent of the club, has made the decision that's been made today. And I think, really, you talked earlier on about the result that cost Les his job was the Middlesbrough game this weekend. I think you could actually look a little bit further and say that it's the sequence of results. The club aren't happy with losing 5-1 against Tottenham, of course, and then 3-0 against Liverpool. But when you lose 1-0 against Wickham in a League Cup game with a semi-final place up for grabs, and the nature of that performance, I think that really was the decision made. I think that Les was given a little bit more time to see if he could get a reaction out of the players at the Riverside Stadium, but the players aren't responding to him.
Well, Andy, I mean, Reid only signed a new contract, a fortnight ago? Was that a mistake all round?
Well, the ink's barely dry on it, Jim, is it? It's a crazy situation. Les Reid had a contract when he went to the club as the assistant manager under Ian Dowie. When the change was made, it took a couple of weeks, 3, 4, 5 weeks maybe, to sort the new contract out. And as you say, a fortnight ago, Les signed a new contract until 2009 that he would be the Charlton Athletic manager. The club, I guess, now are in a position where they're paying off Ian Dowie, they're paying off Les Reid, and they've just taken on Alan Pardew, who will command quite the salary as well, I'm sure, on a 3.5-year deal. It doesn't look good on Charlton Athletic tonight, it has to be said. Don't forget, only on Thursday, or Wednesday I should say, that the club came out and through Peter Varney, the chief executive, said that Les Reid was being fully backed by the club. That obviously wasn't and hasn't been the case, and Les has gone, Alan Pardew's in, and it's the start of a new era. Crazy.
Has player power played a part in this?
100%, Jim. Absolutely 100% player power. I'm not convinced that Les ever had the full support of the dressing room. You only have to listen to little whispers around the training ground and talk to players within the squad. I'm not sure that they ever thought he was the right man for the job in the first place. Certainly, before this weekend, they didn't think he was the right man for the job. I was at the training ground on Friday morning, and one player, who shall remain nameless, I asked them, do you feel you need to go out and get a win this weekend for the manager? They said, no, we're not getting the result for the manager. We're going out to get the result for Charlton Athletic. And that really summed it up. That was one of the players who's been there longest at the football club and knows the club inside out. So it was a tough situation. I don't think he had the support of the players. I think that's reflected most importantly in the performances, because they weren't responding to what he was telling them. And you can't get out of trouble. You can't go into a relegation battle with that sort of situation.
Finally, Andy, what exactly is the task facing Alan Pardew? He's got to hit the ground running, hasn't he?
He absolutely has to hit the ground running, Alan Pardew. There are no doubts about that. Don't forget, this is a man who spent, almost 3 years as a player at Charlton Athletic, signed by Alan Kirbishley. When he was player manager, he was minutes away from winning the FA Cup, of course, and got West Ham into Europe as a result of a fantastic season last season. He will go there feeling that he can get Charlton Athletic out of trouble. If you speak to any manager who's out of a job, when they're approach to take over a club that's in trouble. They generally only want to go there if they've got a chance of keeping them up. I know that was the situation with Alan Kirbishley when he went to West Ham. Alan Pardew going to Charlton Athletic will feel he has a chance to get this team out of trouble. If you look up that league table, I think tonight the likes of West Ham, obviously, but then Blackburn, Sheffield United, Manchester City and Middlesbrough will all be a little bit worried, all the way up to 14th in the table, because West Ham have made a change, now Charlton have made a change, and these players, I'm sure, will respond to that change. The fans will respond as well. The chairman, Richard Murray, has told me tonight that they've got the fans' choice. He's described Alan Pardew as being the best man for the job with a point to prove. Richard Murray says Alan Pardew's excited, he's hungry, and he wants to show people that West Ham were wrong to let him go. It's an interesting situation, and don't forget, West Ham play Charlton 24th of February. That's going to be a huge game. It could be a relegation decider by then.
Andy, thanks for that.
Now let's get some other news. For the first time since